Hey, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me today. Guys, I'm sorry that I've been basically MIA for the last few months. Had a lot of projects going on, some really great stuff happening here at GoTech, and we have some new stuff coming out here in the future. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you click that notification bell because we have a pretty big announcement coming up in the next few months that I can't wait to share with you guys, but I'm not gonna spoil it today. Just make sure you're ready for that. All right, in the shop today, 2013 Toyota Sienna 3.5 liter V6. And before you guys razz me in the comments about converting over to a minivan, man, nope, that is not me. This is not my vehicle. We're still a truck and SUV family here, but I totally get the draw to these things, right? With, my one being almost 4 years old now, the other one just over a year old, running around. I see a lot of door dings in my future. This thing comes to me from a customer who had it in another shop at some point. It had a check engine light on. Some parts were put on it. It's here today for a rich condition. I'm gonna kind of, base everything off of this is my first time seeing the vehicle. I'm gonna ignore everything that was done to it because I like to apply the same process to every vehicle I diagnose. I go through the same steps basically because I don't wanna be led astray by what somebody else has done with the vehicle. So step one, let's check the codes. P0172, P0174, your traditional rich codes. Also a stall code in here, which is, I was told by the customer the vehicle stalled out. Probably related. I haven't been able to duplicate the stalling condition since it's been fixed now. But I'm gonna take you guys through my process. On this one, I have some data captures and stuff from driving this thing. So let's get right into it. First things first, I check for TSBs, silver bullets, any of that fun stuff. Nothing found on here related to a rich condition, so we're kind of starting in the dark. So first thing I do is let the vehicle idle and check out what's going on with fuel trims. So you can see here our trims are negative at a, let's call it a cold idle. We're at 95 degrees, but almost 1,000 RPM, and we're at negative 15 on both the long terms and the short terms are negative as well, meaning we're subtracting fuel away from this vehicle. Now guys, I'm not gonna get super deep into fuel trimming and how all that works, rich and lean conditions, that kind of thing. If you're interested in that, make sure to check out some of our other videos. It's all in there, some of the previous stuff. I'm just gonna say today, a rich condition is simply the lack of oxygen traveling past the air-fuel ratio sensor or oxygen sensor. Lean condition is excessive oxygen traveling past, okay? Nothing to do with fuel because the oxygen sensor cannot read fuel, okay? Fuel could be the issue, but the O2 sensor is not able to read it. The closed loop fuel system that's on this vehicle measures the amount of air entering the engine with a mass airflow sensor. That reports to the PCM. The PCM then controls the amount of fuel entering the cylinder to match with that amount of air coming in. We have the magic that happens inside the cylinder, right? We squeeze it, we explode it, we create power, and then we dump it into the exhaust where it's to be measured to see how efficient our combustion event was. The air-fuel ratio sensor in this case is reading a lack of oxygen in there. So what has the computer done? It's removed fuel, which should create the ability to put more oxygen inside of the cylinder, which should create more oxygen left over in our post-combustion event. I know that sounds a little bit confusing. The computer can only manipulate the amount of fuel entering into the cylinder. Theoretically it can, but realistically it's not going to be able to change how much air is entering into the cylinder. So we manipulate fuel. We pull fuel back to make our happy little air-fuel ratio sensors right at lambda or stoichiometric or whatever you want to call it. We're trying to make that thing happy. We're trying to make our long-term trims and short-term trims happy on here. The closer to zero, the better. We're not going to code until we're past negative or positive 10. In this case, we are definitely in a coding scenario at idle on this thing when it's cold. So, already have the scan tool on, already have data opened up. Next thing I did was take it for a test drive. Here's the data from my test drive. I apologize in advance that I didn't capture long-term on bank 2. I was trying to record too much data at a time with the scan tool and apparently lost bank 2 in the shuffle, but bank 2 looked exactly like bank 1 in terms of long-term fuel trim. So to set you guys on what I'm doing here, I'm cruising about 27 miles an hour at about 3,000-ish RPM. Vehicle's still warming up, not quite up to operating temp yet. And we're getting what I would call conflicting fuel trims. So we have a short-term fuel trim reading positive. We have a long-term fuel trim reading negative. When we get our total trim, we add those together, gives us right around 0 on here, 1-ish for our fuel trim, which is beautiful. That is the way it's supposed to be. Chances are the long-term fuel trims on here just haven't learned or aren't learning to what they're supposed to. Conflicting fuel trims are basically total trim is what's going to be setting a code on here. This thing looks really good at this point. So rich at idle, running okay, cruising down the road at almost 30 miles an hour, 3,000 RPM. Looks really good. So the next thing I did was go out and do a wide open throttle pull. Okay, so here's my data for my wide open throttle pull, and I typically do these all the same. It's wide open throttle in second gear all the way up to the 2-3 shift. The point of this is trying to load the vehicle and get as much vehicle load, mass airflow, and engine RPM as I can get all in one go. So it looks like here in the scan tool, I'm peaking out at 87.8% load, mass airflow at 175.51, and in our engine RPM at this second is 6,077 with a peak of 61.67. So you'll see here, guys, that I don't have fuel trims on the screen for this. And that's because this Sienna, like most vehicles, enter into open loop under wide open throttle, meaning we're no longer trimming fuel. So fuel trims are basically pointless for us at this point because the vehicle is using those strategic fuel maps that are designed by the engineers under wide open throttle. So I already see a red flag here, guys. 87.8% vehicle load at its peak is kind of low. I would expect to see 100% here. We are at the most vehicle load we could put on this thing. Wide open throttle, 2-3 shift. This thing should be hitting 100%. Mass airflow grams per second, 175. I don't have a book that tells me what this 3.5 liter should breathe under wide open throttle. We can perform volumetric efficiency on here. You guys can go ahead and do that. This engine was low. This had a low volumetric efficiency reading. I'm not going to display the calculator, but if you simply Google VE calculator out there, you'll be able to find one for yourself. What I do when I'm doing this is I take a look at my rear O2 sensors. What are they doing under wide open throttle? Our load is low, mass airflow sensor unknown. What are our rear O2 sensors doing? This vehicle, like many others, default fuel control is to run rich under wide open throttle. We are at high load, high mass airflow grams per second, high RPM, and our O2 sensors are reading 195 millivolts and 0.055 millivolts. That's lean. That's lean. These should be pegged rich. They should be over 450 millivolts, not under 450 millivolts. And you can see here that they're lean the entire time our engine RPM is increasing until we end up in our shift, which we get a little dip in there. We shift, and then I let off the throttle and coast back down where we go into fuel cut and we end up lean. So our post-CAT O2 sensors are reading lean under wide open throttle. This is an interesting one, right? We had a rich condition at idle. We had a vehicle running pretty darn good under cruising conditions, and then wide open throttle we're running lean. The only thing that came to mind for me at this point was the mass airflow sensor, right? It's the only thing that kind of made sense. Now, mass airflow sensor doesn't always skew itself rich. It doesn't always skew itself lean. It could be skewed on both ends. The way I see this sensor spectrum kind of being read is whoever designed the sensor trimmed it to not read high enough on the top end, not read enough grams per second on the top end, and not read low enough on the low end, giving us a sensor that at idle over-calculates the amount of air entering in the engine, therefore giving us too much fuel at idle, therefore giving us a rich condition and pulling fuel back. And then it under-calculates under wide open throttle, therefore not giving us enough fuel, therefore giving us a lean condition at wide open throttle. So my gut feeling said it needs a mass airflow sensor. That's where I was going with this thing. I pulled out the mass airflow sensor that was installed and compared it to the sensor that I was putting in, and I noticed a major difference between these two sensors. One, the one I pulled out, has a green O-ring, and this one has a black one. No, just kidding, guys. There actually is a major difference here. If we flip it around, these sensors are meant to sit in the airstream, right? So air rushes past the sensor element, cools the sensor element down if this is a hot wire design. I haven't actually looked into it, but it cools that sensor down, draws more current to bring it back up to temp, and that amount is how it measures the air. If we change the way that air flows past the sensor, we could manipulate how the sensor actually reads that volume of air. Here you can see on the brand new sensor that I installed on this vehicle, we have a very nice wide opening for the air to rush past our sensor element, which is basically right inside here. And then on the sensor that was in the vehicle, you can see it's very closed off, and it actually has like a cap down on the end here. Very different way for the air to enter into the sensor and be read. It's highly likely that this sensor that I pulled out was causing the air to be over-read, too much air at idle, not enough air under wide open throttle. I don't know why the sensor is a different design. I don't really care. I put in a new sensor and took the thing for another test drive. Here's the data. I let the vehicle warm up and I let it sit for quite a while. The fuel trims, I don't reset fuel trims right away. I let the vehicle learn its new trim. So this is already learned. I'm sorry I didn't catch it right after I had installed the sensor. But this is after the vehicle's warmed up. It's at 180 degrees here, and the long-term fuel trim's learned. When I initially started the vehicle up, long terms were at that -15. Short terms were at +15. We add them together. That brings us down to that 0 mark. You can see here, short-term and long-term fuel trims look beautiful on here. That is an ideal, excellent looking fuel trims on this engine. So then I go out and I do my wide open throttle, that 2-3 shift again, that super high load. And here you can see we peg out the graph at 100%. And right about there, close enough, at almost 100%. Mass airflow pegs out at 199 grams per second. And engine speed is 100 RPM less this time. So we've gained 12-13% load, bringing us up to that 100% mark where we should be. We gained 25 grams per second here on the top end. So we're measuring the right amount of air. And then the big telltale here is going to be the oxygen sensors. Let's take a look. And you can see here, as we are climbing in RPM, that entire vertical little rise there, that little mountain going up, that wide open throttle event, you can see there that our fuel trims went rich. They went over 450 millivolts. They're reading at 955, so they're reading full rich. That's exactly what should happen. So we're now applying the proper amount of fuel, the proper amount of air being read by our new sensor, and our idle trims look great, our cruising trims look great, and then our wide open throttle event, which doesn't trim again, but our O2 sensors are responding like they should. A new mass airflow sensor fixed this vehicle. A new proper mass airflow sensor fixed this vehicle. This sensor that I pulled out is way too clean to not be new. It also had a new connector attached to it, so somebody had wired in a new connector as well. Unfortunate that whoever chose this sensor and this thing, whatever brand it is, it didn't work. Right, it just didn't, miscalculated and just didn't work. So if you guys liked the video, if you found it useful, found it interesting, please give us a thumbs up, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure to click on that little bell icon. That way you get notified every time we come out with a new video, which will be soon. I promise not to run away on you guys again. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, I'll have another one out for you guys. So again, I really appreciate you all watching. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, happy wrenching, everyone. Thank you.